all the trials and tribulations, and make sure that you calculate the risks that you taking. These the rules of engagement. Just left prison, felt like it was a cruise on the slave ship. Bad food and metal bracelets, took patience, but I still managed to manifest greatness. It's that KOT ape shit. I walk around with my head up and chest out, cause that's the posture of a black mobster. It ain't a place on this earth I can't go and conquer. A master of word wizardry. Mix my pain with the beat, it sound like ghetto chemistry. And death to anything that wanna hurt me and injure me.
All right, we're gonna get right into it, man. How y'all doing, man? It's another edition of We Made It Out podcast, man. It's my lovely host, my wife Courtney Long. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to our sponsors, Mothers Raising Brothers. Shout out to CC Events. Shout out to King of the Trenches Clothing, and everybody who support us, all our family, the children, the grandchildren, the loved ones. You know what I'm saying? So tonight, I got my wife on, and we're gonna speak about a real relevant subject for myself. You know what I'm saying? Love after being locked down. You know what I mean? So first and foremost, I want to say shout out to everybody who has supported someone in any kind of way that was incarcerated. You know what I'm saying? Because it's definitely one of the hardest things you could go through in life, if not the hardest. You know what I'm saying? So I want to start off with saying, first and foremost, shout out to anyone who ever supported me, anyone who ever supported anyone that has been incarcerated. You know what I mean? And so I want to know what it was like for you emotionally when you found out that I was locked up.
Well, thank you for having me first and foremost. What was it like for me emotionally? Well, wow. First of all, we were so young. I'm a few years younger than you. So I think I was shocked at first because I don't know that side of you. I never got that version of you. I know Muta, the guy from playing for high school that I met, and we hooked up when we was younger. And so whatever you had going on, in the streets, or whatever you was doing outside of that, I didn't know that version. So I was definitely shocked. A homegirl of mine told me. And I think that I immediately was like, what, when, how, why? And I looked you up because I wanted to see. And I don't think I found out right when it happened. I think maybe somebody told me like, yeah, Musa got locked up, but I don't think I understood the severity of it. So maybe I found out once you got your time. And once you got your time, I was like, I got to reach out to him. Like, I got to figure out what's going on with him. And I think, from there, I wrote you. And at that time, I was in North Carolina. So I think that my intro to the letter kind of took us from there. But it was shocking for me when I first heard that you got locked. Well, that you got that much time is what it was.
Me too.
But
So I mean, I had a different experience from my end. So, like, what did you think it was like for me in there? Or what did you expect me to be like when we first actually had a conversation?
Another funny question, because I don't think you and I really got to know each other on a more than what we was doing level. From when we first met to how we hooked up and kicked it. And, it was always like a mutual understanding, like, what's up? I like you, you like me, we do. But I don't think that we ever really got to know each other. So I didn't know I think my initial thing was just to check on you and ask you, was you okay?
Right.
And tell you where I was mentally, because at the time my son's father had gotten murdered. And it took me some time to shake back from it. So I think by the time I found out you was locked up, how much time you got, where I was mentally, I think my biggest thing was, are you good? Because I knew that it was a point in time for me where I wasn't good. And I think in life, you always feel like you're going through something worse than somebody else. So even though I went through like a big depression and I was messed up, I think that finding out how much time you got made me be like, oh shoot, here I am, sad and recovering from a death that was for somebody that was very close to me. But you had all that time, so I think at that point it just made me be like, my biggest thing was just checking on you. So it was good to hear from you because once I wrote you, I kind of timed that thing. Like, all right, I wrote him. It probably take like 4 days from North Carolina to Jersey. He might have to write me back, take it to the mail. So I was looking forward to hearing back from you within like 10 days. And I think you wrote back within that time. Like, I think I got the letter back. I don't think you hesitated to write me back. So
I did.
Spirits was up. No, your spirits was up through the letters you wrote. And I think you was just like, wow, same thing. Like, I didn't know you had all that going on, which probably took you, put you in another perspective too. So hopefully that answers your question.
It did. Now I'm glad that you mentioned that. Now that you mentioned that, it did kind of once you reached out and you let me know what you was going through and things like that, it kind of did motivate me to keep pushing forward, because it was like, for me to see the things that you were still able to accomplish, despite losing your son's father, and the way you was living and handling your business. You had a business, and you know what I'm saying, you was invested in your son so much, and I was doing so many things. It was like, it gave me like, it gave me some motivation, definitely. You know what I mean? But so now let me ask you this though, because we were friends. I think we became friends while I was in there, but once I came home, what were like your biggest hopes for me?
So wait, what you mean we became friends while you was home? We was friends
No,
before that.
no, I said we became friends while I was in there.
You feel like we became friends while you was locked up?
A little more, yeah, because I mean, I didn't even really know myself. Come to find out, you know
Okay,
what I'm saying?
that's
So
fair.
yeah, so it's
So
like,
you saying that whatever, and now that's fair. Whatever. I mean, we didn't have a relationship before you went to prison. We was just kicking it, right?
right. But
Um,
you did, yo, you know what's crazy too? You came to see me. I think we was talking about this the other day. You came to see me in like some pivotal times. You came to me in like some pivotal times in my life too.
you talking about prior to you going to jail?
Yeah, because the last time I saw you was, I believe it was 2004. I was on a bracelet.
Mm-hmm.
And
True.
that was like a real pivotal time in my life where everything like started shifting. And then when we reconnected, I was at another like shifting point in my life where I was like at the tail end. Well, I still had about 8 years left, something like that. But I was like I think I was going to college. I was about to start going to college and stuff like that. And I was like pretty much figuring out who I wanted to be and started working towards that. So it was like, and then, but now coming home, I had to like, bump my head a little bit and find my way. So that's what I wanted to know. Like, what was some of your biggest, like, like your hopes for me, or like, expectations when not to that effect, but some of the things that you would hope that I would have done.
That's hard to say because the way our relationship started was we were kids. I don't know. I was 14, 15 years old. You was a few years older than me. I was like a freshman in high school. You was like a senior. You know what I'm saying? We linked up a few times and then we lost contact. I moved back to North Carolina. I came to see you a few years later and you was on the ankle monitor or whatever. And I don't think that I knew. After that, we lost touch again. Next time you was in prison.
Damn, you make
So
it sound so technical.
I mean, but that's really the
No,
timeline,
no, I
right?
mean the ankle monitor. Like, all right,
Well, that's what you want me to say. He was on house arrest.
the bracelet.
Yeah,
Yo,
so
hey, easy.
one time. So I think that I never had any expectation of you or from you because our friendship. Oh, I think you had lost. I think I had lost you.
Yeah, I'm here. You back?
All right, it was back.
Mm-hmm.
I think that our friendship was it never had any real expectations or anything. Like, we never said anything. It was never like we go together or we just friends. It just was what it was. We was just kicking it. We was cool. You like me, I liked you. So even when you went to prison and I wrote you, we reconnected. I was telling you about my accomplishments and some of my challenges. You was telling me about some of your challenges and some of your accomplishments. And I was just happy to hear that you was doing something. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, I'm going to college, I'm going to school. And then like, send me some pictures. And I'm like, oh, here we go. So like, other than, I think I was okay with just knowing that their spirits was up, because, sometimes, guys be in prison, they be mad. They haven't taken accountability for what they've done, or they like, hey, send me some money. You never asked me for anything. You never said, hey, come see me, write me back. It just was like, we was like always just in the moment, whenever that was, whether we was kids, when we reconnected before you went to prison, and then once you got out, there was never like any real expectation of who I had to be for you or who you had to be for me. We just was there,
Right.
So does that better answer?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that too, because that's something that I want to speak on about the expectations. I think not even I think transitioning, like, reintegrating back into society, I think the person who's coming back home and the people surrounding them, like whatever the support system, the family, whatever, I think we all be having like unrealistic expectations sometimes.
I think but I think that that's normal for people, because I've been in those situations too, where I've had loved ones come home from prison and everybody has their own idea of what it's going to be. Right. Which is why all the men in prison gonna hate me for this, but I don't recommend having a relationship with anybody in prison. And it's from experience though. It's because in there, this is you're confined to, or it's minimized. Like, the women you see are CEOs or social media. If you got somebody that's got your undivided attention, then of course your intentions might be pure, because I think there's a difference between, some guys that's locked up who date women who just using them, and there's some guys who date women and their intentions are truly to love them, and then they come home and everybody's expectation is different. We got plenty of examples, friends, ourselves, of where we got our own fairy tale, right? Hey, when he come home, oh, finally, I'm gonna get to do these date nights. Oh, I'm going on these trips with my boo. You coming home, you just trying to figure it out. You like, I don't got time for that. I'm shuffling here. You got all these people coming at you. So like, the expectation changes the romance. It changes the fairy tale. And it's different when you don't have access to something. So it's easy to say, oh, I'm not going to cheat on this person when that person is the only thing you have access to. But when you got a world full of freedom and booties and hoes, like, it's like, trying to, so the expectation changes, like everything changes, right? And so I think that we women, and I can only speak to myself, I think you have to have a certain level of esteem, whether it's low self-esteem, and I'm not trying to step on nobody's toes, I'm speaking from experience. Low self-worth, you just came out of a bad relationship, unless you was in this relationship before this person went to prison, to be in this relationship with a person when they're locked up, as outside of a friendship, you really can't hold anybody accountable or have expectations when the person has never shown you that they're capable of doing these things free yet. And I think that's a hard thing for people to process or adjust. I'm quite sure it's somebody watching this live right now that's been in a relationship while they was locked up and they ain't together, or they somewhere frustrated, because you end up like being codependent sometimes, or some people need a place to live. Some people just want love and companionship. They don't care what it look like, what it feel like, if it's going to work. You don't think that far. And women gravitate to it because we typically got your attention. You talking to me. I know where you at. You ain't going nowhere. I got control over the situation. I'm going to see you every Wednesday and Saturday. And it's just like, it's an unfortunate situation, because you could really truly have two good people that may work outside, but you don't get to fully experience that because it's with it is confined and it has so many restrictions and rules. And then once you do get to experience that, you have to be a strong person to deal with somebody that just came home. And you got to be understanding, you got to be forgiving, you got to be patient, you got to be forgiving, you got to be patient.
Right.
And you got to really like be willing to work with this individual. And same thing for the guys. A lot of guys come home and they like, dang, she used to dress up, but it's easy to put your clothes on for visit. That don't mean she do her hair every day, or that don't mean she dress up every day. So again, it builds this thing that changes. So
Right.
it's so much we can talk about and so much we can go into about it. But I personally am glad that I did not date you while you were in prison, because it gave us the opportunity for you to get out and for you to figure some things out for yourself.
Right.
And for us to remain friends, and then for us to connect when we were both ready, and we both had a lot going on at the time.
Right.
And I don't know, it just worked. It just worked when it worked.
Right.
Sorry, that was a lot.
No, it wasn't a lot. It wasn't a lot. I think from being the one that was there and then coming home, I think, it's a lot to deal with, especially when you're expecting certain people and certain things to be a way and then it's another way. It's challenging, you know what I'm saying? Especially when it's like coming from people that you love and you thought loved you the same way, because that just because people love you don't mean that they love you the same way that you love them. And I feel like truly loving somebody comes with more than just that feeling. It got to come with understanding, and it got to come with patience, like you said. You know what I'm saying? And I know through my own personal experiences, it's like some people, no matter how old you are, they still view you as the same person that you was when you know what I mean, when you left. It's almost like they don't want to accept your growth. You know what I'm saying? And it's like sometimes it upset them.
Right.
Like, how dare this nigga be different? Like, you know what I mean? It's a weird balance. And if you're not strong-willed and strong-minded and you don't have an understanding about things in life, then I think that'll be challenging for you and it'll set you back.
Right. I agree.
You know what I mean?
But even with that, I think the reason why the two of us actually work is because we both have been through a lot, but we appreciate who each other is, just in the good and bad times. Like, you understand my growth, I understand your growth, I understand your flaws, but a lot of the stuff that I understand has come from experience. What I learned too, in not just dealing with you with coming home from prison, but just you being a man, is I've had experience. Like, I have a dad, I have a son, I have an ex-husband. Most people don't know I've been married before. So like, I can show up as a different version of a wife because I've been married. I know what mistakes I've made in the past, and I know what it takes to be just a good woman. And again, you got to feed them, you got to freak them, and you got to forgive them. Those are my 3 F's. And it comes with a lot of patience and forgiveness. And that doesn't mean like just the worst thing, but I think we don't even argue. I'm not saying we get along all the time. We have our times like, oh, he get on my nerves, but it's not the end of the relationship, the marriage. It's like we both show up every day trying to make a difference in each other's lives. You don't feel like you are the head of the relationship, even though you are the man and you are the head and you the protector and the provider, but you don't feel like, oh, I'm the man, whoo. And I don't feel like, oh, I'm the woman. I think we both contribute. You add just as much value to my life as I add yours. And I think we consistently understand how much we need each other and how much we appreciate and rely and show up for each other every day. And so sometimes with friends and family, sometimes it can be based on, again, that understanding. Even in other relationships, the misunderstanding of everybody thinking that they add this specific value, and that it makes people feel like they are the person to the other person instead of being that for each other.
Right. Yeah, well, I think I think it comes from like knowing like playing your position to the fullest extent. That's what I attribute it to, because, like you said, a lot of people be thinking that they bring some type of value that they don't even have.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, like, what is the goal? If the goal is for us to be successful, then I'm willing to do whatever I got to do that. A lot of people not. From my experiences and my observation, it's still about me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a level of maturity. I mean, that comes from
Right.
being mature. That comes from being, I mean, different personalities bring out different things. You got some people that are selfish. I don't think you can't have two selfish people in anything and think it's gonna work, or you can't have a willing person and a selfish person in anything and think that it's just gonna work. It's always gonna be somebody pulling the weight and somebody not. Again, instead of two people like that hamster wheel, you know, we gotta keep going. It's about me. You got my back, I got your back. You
Right.
fall, I pick you up, I fall, and that balance, like, I think that's what like finding a person is like. It's like finding somebody that fits your goals and aspirations, your needs, your wants, you know.
And I think it's about somebody that make you better. I seen something the other day that said growth is hard,
Mm,
right? So we have grown to start having a lot of, for me it would have been very hard conversations, but now it's like I accept it, because from now I understand sometimes, right? Like if you say something I don't want to hear, it's usually something that I need to be listening to.
understood.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I learned to like shut my ego down. You got to kill your ego as a man anyway if you want to be a successful husband and a leader, because ego will block you from listening and understanding and taking criticism. And
But see, again, that comes from you actually wanting this. Because if you didn't want it, who's to say that you would actually be willing to do what you just described? You could be like, man, I ain't about to do that. Some people aren't willing to put forth that effort, the time, and the work, right? Because most people think that being in a relationship or marriage means the other person doing the work. But what I just heard you describe is you doing the work. So in order to be better for us, you fixing you, and vice versa.
yeah, because through trial and error, you know, it was a time where I didn't have a woman like you, a partner.
Understood.
You see what I'm saying? So I feel like that's mostly what it's about, partnership. And if the goal is to accomplish everything we trying to do, we trying to grow together. So that means we helping each other grow. So I got to be able to accept whatever you telling me.
But you
Mhm.
also trust that I'm not leading you in the wrong direction or down a
Right,
wrong path.
because because how could you? We trying to get to the same place together. So how could you be trying to, how could whatever you telling me be detrimental?
What are some things you feel like you had to accept or change coming home for the marriage or the relationship? Because obviously we didn't just get married, but we were in a relationship. We just didn't tell nobody, right? At
Right.
first, well, people who knew you personally, who knew me, but we didn't like broadcast it. When people found out we was together, it was like, oh, they got married. Where'd she come from? I thought he was with this person. I thought she was with this person. And it's just that when we decided to reconnect and we decided to um, just be together, um, there was some changes that you obviously had to make in order for your past to be your past and my past to be my past. And everybody didn't like that. So what are some changes you felt like you had to make?
Um, Maybe a couple lifestyle changes. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but you know what? The changes that I did make was for the betterment of me too.
I agree.
Just, you know what I mean? Just watching where I am, who I'm with, things like that. Because I also like to I want to thank you too for opening my eyes to different things, and like just you just gave me a different perspective on how to look at things and people and situations. So it's a lot easier to identify who I should and who I shouldn't be around and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Or where certain situations could potentially lead to.
So do you feel like I actually opened your eyes to that, or I just reiterated what you already knew?
I think you just reaffirmed what I already knew. So I was like, oh no, I'm not
And
bugging.
now I think I set an expectation not for you, but for myself. There were certain things that I was not willing to deal with, or actually tolerate in the relationship. Lifestyle changes, the way you moved around. I was like, oh no, I don't want that for me. And you was like,
Right.
I was like, no, I don't want to be with a man that's in the streets. And you was like, I'm like, no, I lived that life already. I survived that life. I've been through seeing people die in prison and fighting and been to jail myself. Like, I don't want that. This is what I'm doing. And this is what I have going on. So aside from me trying to change you, I just told you what it was that I did not like, or what I was willing to tolerate or not tolerate. And you was like, oh shoot, well, I guess I got to make these changes. And in the midst of that, it may have saved your life, saved you from going back to prison, or saved you from being in a situation that wasn't good for you. Now you see it. But I also believe that a lot of times we try to introduce people to a different life, but we don't give them the resources and tools to make the necessary adjustments and changes. So a part of that is, I'm aware that if I say, hey, I don't want you to do this, we came up with some other alternatives for you to put you in a better position so that you could be a good husband and a provider and everything else.
Right. And even just the belief in what I wanted to do, because a lot of times, like, it'll be like your own people don't believe in your vision, or they may not even understand it, or don't even think that you can accomplish some of the goals that you have. Especially, I just did 17 and a half years, but people don't know that I took advantage of the time that I did. So, and I don't share. I never really shared exactly what my plans was and things like that. So once I started revealing certain things, it's like, nah, this nigga think he gonna be able to do that. I mean, it's like, why wouldn't I think I could do it? I got all the information that I need. All I gotta do is just put it into action. You know what I'm saying? So from that perspective, it was a little difficult for me to accept. Like, damn, you know what I'm saying? It was feeling like the people that was closest to me wasn't supporting me trying to change. And
well, what if they didn't know how? Because I think that we give a lot of credit to people thinking that they need to either contribute and they don't, or that they know how to contribute and they don't. I understand who I am as a person and what I have to offer and how much I contribute to anybody's life that I'm in, right? People come to me all the time for help, whether it's help with business, help in relationships, helping you know the drill. So what I'm saying is, I know that for me to be able to be that person for you, I have a certain skill that I have. Everybody doesn't have that. Everybody doesn't know how to help you. Some people are just like, or some people don't feel like that's their responsibility as a man. You may need to figure that out. I think also our goals and what we were both already interested in align, because we have a lot of the same interests, from the food we eat to the live to the businesses. Like, it was like, oh, you want to do that? Yeah, I already got this. And you like, oh shoot, you got these resources. Okay, I can do this. And you contribute just as much on a different scale to the business that we have. And so it just works. And so I think it's important just even understanding that some people just don't have the tools and resources to help in that capacity. So you just gotta connect with people sometimes who do.
Right. But what what I want to say too, especially like for guys that's coming home and transitioning, what I've grown to understand is that people will give you advice, but they can't step outside their own level of understanding to give you advice that'll fit you in your life. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, for me, you giving bad advice. Like, if you telling me to accept something and do a certain thing that I don't feel like, it's beneath me, that's bad advice for me. If you telling me to accept some type of job that's like mediocre and I should retire there, that's unacceptable for me. So I feel like for the people who support the ones that's coming out of prison, or anybody, I feel like you should ask the person what they want to do and what their goals are, and see how you can fit and give them advice for that, as opposed to, because what I grew to understand is that people only give advice according to their own scope and their own perspective. Like, the average person can't step outside of their self to give someone advice?
I think that goes back to you not probably understanding that everybody doesn't have the tools. People may come to you and give you what they got, and what they got may not be in alignment with their life, but they may be trying to help from their level or that capacity that they working with. So if that's their life, then they feel like, hey, I'm trying to help you get to this place, and it's not a bad place they're trying to take you, it's just not a place you can go. Then it's not up to them to reshape that. It's up to you to say, hey, that's good or that's not. I'm going to take what was good from this conversation and take the good from it, and then throw the rest away. We do that with everything else in life. If you go get some food from a restaurant and you bite into a burger and you like the meat, but you hate the outside, you might eat the meat and throw the rest of the burger away, right? Or you get a whole meal and you like, oh, the steak was good, but I didn't like the broccoli. So eat the meat, take the meat, throw the other stuff away. So if it's not good for you and it doesn't work, you don't have to eat it. You just don't eat it.
Right. That's true. That's true. So what has surprised you the most about our journey since I came home, and once we like locked in? Oh, you ain't know.
I got a few things.
You ain't know I was a level boy.
That's not my first thing.
Ooh, it's one of them.
The first thing I think is that you haven't let me down. You haven't let us down. I think in terms of just you being a protector, provider, a friend, a father, even to the children, the two kids that I have, to your own children. You trying to show up for everybody all the time, even if it's not maybe always appreciated for you. Just the way that you constantly show up for the people who love you, like you haven't let me down yet. So like not yet, but you haven't let me down. And I think that doesn't mean that it's been perfect between us. It doesn't mean that we don't ever run into any hurdles, because even the business that we're in together, like we run into hurdles every day. Well, we figure it out, and you're the balance like that I need in my life in terms of your patience. Like I'm always like, come on, babe, we gotta do da da da. And you like, all right, we're gonna get to it. We're gonna get there. And then I think once we come together, we make a lot of magic happen. And I feel like I still am in awe of that. Like, dang, you still have shown up to be everything. I'm not gonna say that you promised, because you haven't promised me or said anything. You've just shown up. So that's number one. Number two is we never got the chance to have like a romance. We was just kicking it, And so no, there were parts of you that I didn't know. I didn't know, like, I mean, come on, you went to prison for 17 years. You was outside, it was a little shoot 'em up, bang, bang, So you don't expect that from somebody in terms of the romantic part. And I understand that everybody may not have gotten that version of you. Some people may, but I know what you do for me, how you make me feel. And I think that's something that I've lacked in the past. And so just showing me something different, that when a person genuinely cares and loves you, that they can show up and be different for you specifically.
Right.
Your mind. So a lot of times I think guys come home and they be bugged out, or they have the same exact mind state. You are smart as heck. And you smart, you're intelligent. So there are things like, I'll be like, what that word mean? So maybe if I'm articulating something well, or because I have these businesses, or I'm doing this, or the way I dress, or the way I carry myself, people may think like, oh, she's so smart. But I think that you actually are a lot more intelligent than, I'll say, me and a lot of people that I know. I'm always impressed by like who you are and what you know, like your level of intelligence. Another thing is your discipline. I will say that I don't think, and so, the whole religion thing. So I took my Shahada, but I've always said, but I was raised as a Christian since birth. Like that's all I've ever known. But one thing that was big for me was that even through whatever we got going on, we could be on vacation at a hotel, we can be in the middle of about to go get some food, but you're going to stop and pray. And prayer is big for me because I didn't have the best prayer life. So I'm big on whatever religion you in or whatever you believe in. I think the goal or the main thing that we all believe in is God, right? Or Allah. And I think that I don't see people as disciplined as you are in any religion, because I could be like, hey babe, come on, we going to the mall. You might be like, we gotta pray. And I'd be like,
Right.
Okay. And so we was in a hotel and you like, come on, let's pray. And so I can appreciate how you keep us grounded in our prayer life and just having that structure, because it's important, because whether you know it or not, you cover our family and you cover me, like even in some of my weakest moments, just by keeping me grounded or praying. Like it's a beautiful thing to see. And so those are just some of the many. I ain't trying to hype you up too bad. I don't have to
No.
fight. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Like
I appreciate that, but
he good and he mine too. You know
that's
what I'm
right.
saying? Like
You know that. But nah, you know what? I'm glad you spoke on that, because like it was challenging. So now it made me I guess go back and reassess my relationship with Allah on a different level, because I had a bad experience with a few, with a few brothers that I was incarcerated with, and it almost made me be like, man, you know what I'm saying? Because it was different in there, but I gotta remember and take into account it's the people. You see
Right.
what I'm saying? And it's just like paying attention to the signs. And I just feel like you can't let nothing come between your connection with you and God, because um that's your foundation. And I believe that's one of the major things, the most important thing, that I didn't lose my mind or anything in there because of my connection with Allah. So I definitely knew that was going to be my foundation, and I had to get back to that. But actually going through certain things, it gave me a better perspective on it too. Like, you know what, I got to tighten back up. It ain't the people. I'm worrying about the people. Forget the people. It's about my connection with God. I don't got to know nobody I'm praying next to.
That's right.
It ain't about that. You know what I'm saying? I pray with you and then I can spin off. Like, and it just gave me a lesson on people. That was one of my most important lessons coming to home, accepting people for who they are. But and I hope any of the brothers that see this coming home and get to see this and get to understand that you can't expect people to love you the way you love them. They got to show you that. And sometimes that'd be hard for us, because it'd be like the ones that we knew. But when you on a different type of journey and you growing, everybody not going to accept that, because
That's
especially the people that's not growing, they don't want to change. So why they don't want to hear that. Like, you know what I'm saying? They ask, what's up with you? You saying you doing X, Y, and Z. They don't want to hear that, because that
right.
ain't what they want to do. So, and you can't expect everybody to be happy for you either.
That's right.
It's not going to happen. It's
I
not
agree.
going to happen. And especially where we come from, it's like when you start elevating and doing better, it's like you get the opposite of love, man. It's weird. It's the strangest thing. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
they
So,
say it's lonely at the top.
nah, it's true.
You ain't
Unless
come
you
up
got,
with that.
yeah, for real, man. It's the strangest thing, man. But I just want guys that was in my position to, like, just come home and focus on themselves and find the right person, and like that. That's what we named it, Love After Lockdown, because it ain't even just love with a love of yourself too.
Mm.
Because if you truly love yourself, man, you're gonna really do some things that's gonna protect you from going back, to the road that you traveled. You know what I mean? I feel like for me, like you said, I think my problem was well, I don't want to say it was a problem. It can be a problem if you act on it that way, but I always, like you said, took on the brunt of so much for friends, family, and things like that. But once I started, like, changing my way of thinking and just pouring that into myself, everything worked out better.
I know you mentioned, like, you asked me like what were some things that was surprising for me, like when it as it related to you. But what was some things that helped you even frame your decision to ask me to be your wife?
Hmm, man, um, whew, um, Well, the love was genuine. The care was genuine. You was genuinely my friend. That's number one. And like you was selfless. Like I made a lot of mistakes in and outside our relationship. So like your patience and your understanding is on another level. So once I saw like damn, like she really like trying to understand and being patient with me, like I have to work on myself. I have to change certain things because it's like, you do go through a phase when you come home and like, oh, I'm home, but you gotta lock back in. But like because I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I can
No,
admit that
you
now.
wasn't.
I
Ah,
wasn't ready.
you wasn't
Yeah,
ready.
no, I
Why
wasn't
you feel
ready,
like you're
man.
ready now? Like what changed? Because um even and again, that's my big thing with dating somebody who's in prison or even after. Like you haven't even hit the 2 year mark and you've been gone for almost, I don't know if people realize that you've been gone for almost 2 decades.
Yeah, that's
So
a
a
long
part
time.
of that not being ready is like we talked about this on the initial thing of like you reintegrating into society, you getting caught up and acclimated with technology, you learning how to process emotions because your emotions that you process in prison and accepting time and being around certain people is totally different than you being in the world full of all these different emotions and people bumping you in public. And you got to make decisions that were made for you in prison. Somebody bringing you your mail, somebody's telling you what time to eat, they letting you know what time you locking in, you get a certain schedule, and now you're in a position where you're making your own schedule, you taking it, you going to pick up your own mail, like you went from receiving to now having to give out, right? And give out money for bills, give out love, balance time. It's not handled for you in that capacity.
Right.
So I don't know, it's just so much we could talk about it. It's
Well,
so
I think it was perspective, man, and really understanding what I wanted and who I wanted to be. And I had got some real good advice from an older guy that was locked up with me. Before I even got out, he said, "Yo, when you get out here, you need to treat yourself like you still locked up." And I was like, "Damn, what the fuck you mean by that?" But
in
he
terms of
meant
discipline.
discipline and people.
I could see that.
Because like I noticed, like it'd be crazy too when people don't even understand that you know what they're around for, and you can see them, like what I'm saying. You can see everything that they up to. So discipline, like cutting yourself off from people that wouldn't have been there, that wasn't there when you was in there, and things like that. Or you know what I mean? It's just like some people, like when you're trying to do certain things, man. It's just certain people that you don't need to be around and associating yourself with.
Right.
I know,
I don't think
especially.
too. I'm sorry. Go ahead. My apologies.
Nah, I just was gonna say, especially for individual like myself. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't going back. So it's like I already know how I act and how I am. So why would I put myself in a situation where I already know what I'm gonna do? That don't make no sense.
I think that's what people don't understand is like to elevate, you really do have to separate. And it's not
Mm.
personal. People take it so personal. But to separate yourself, if you went to anywhere in the world, to school, if you in a class full of bad kids and you want to be good, you got to move away from the bad kids. Usually if you and somebody in class is talkative and the teacher wants y'all to shut up, what they do, they
It's
separate y'all, right?
separation, right?
All right. So in society, right, when you commit a crime or whatever, you get separated from the rest of the world. You go to jail. They separate you. So why is it that when we are trying to go higher, that the people who are not trying to go in that direction do not understand? And it's not personal. I still love you. I still rock with you, but I have to separate myself so that I can do this other thing. If I needed to study for school and I needed quiet, there's a reason why they have a library. It's a reason why they have quiet space so that you can study, so that you can separate yourself from any distractions. And a
Right.
lot of times people are they are mad because you are separating yourself, and it doesn't mean that you're allowed. It might not even mean that you're a distraction, but I'm trying to become a pilot and you want to be a firefighter and it's cool, but I gotta go this way and you gotta go that. We're not going to the same training.
How about
right?
I just don't have the time?
Now, that's another point because when you are busy, you don't have time to entertain people.
Listen, that's what I found out. Listen, when you got business, you don't got time for nothing.
That's true.
We be going
but it's
to
hard
bed.
to help somebody understand.
People don't even understand. We be going to bed sometimes. You got the laptop in the bed. We ain't even do everything that we was trying to do that day. And we still got to jump right up and get right back to it. So like it's a crazy thing, man. But I mean it's been a beautiful journey for me, man. It just now I just got a different and a deeper understanding of things too. But it's like the people that don't accept or respect that you're trying to do something else, they're not meant to be around you anyway. Because if I genuinely care about somebody, whatever they feel like they need to do to better themselves, I'm gonna be in support of that.
For the guys who are single or haven't found like a significant other, some people don't want to get married or ever or whatever, but I know we talked about this a while back, and I heard it was funny because you went to sleep last night. I was up. I woke up. But I went to sleep early. You went to sleep after me. I woke up this morning and you were playing Shannon Sharpe and Damon Wayans was on there, and they were talking about marriage. And he was saying that he wasn't with his ex-wife anymore, but that he understood the importance of marriage because, and we talked about this, that when you are in leadership or positions of power, everybody has a wife. And I hate to say it, but it is like also it's love, but it's also an arrangement, right? It's business. People don't understand business and how the two go hand in hand, but people typically take you more serious when you conduct the business and you have a partner. You show up. Tim said this is my girlfriend. What? If you say this is my wife, and people are
got a whole nother meaning to it.
But Damon Wayans gave me a different perspective even on that, because what he said was, not that just that you show up, you can say this is my wife, but people feel like if you can balance a marriage, if you can actually conduct business, right? They feel like I can trust you. If you can be loyal and maintain this thing or maintain this relationship, then I can trust you with this $1 million because I know that you got some structure. A lot of people don't understand that. Being married and being in relationships, how the structure that it gives you when you got a partner and you have somebody. So what suggestions or what advice do you give guys in terms of finding the right person? Because ours was a little different. We went off of a old fling and a friendship that we established and had for many years, and we kind of just fell back into each other's lives. We weren't looking for each other. I think sometimes people be like, "Oh, I'm looking for," but like we weren't looking for each other. It just happened. We what's up? Got back on the phone, and then we ain't stopped talking yet.
Right. I would say, for whatever I would say you just got to get somebody who has the same goals that you have. I feel like that's a lot of times. I feel like from being, a little older, I feel like some relationships be like they be like how it's like, so like sometimes in prison, like we'll see a workout crew, right? So it'll be a guy that's chubby, a guy that's real bulky, and a guy that's cut up, right? But they all doing the same workout. So somebody's not getting what they're supposed to get. You feel what I'm saying? So I feel like sometimes in relationships it'd be like that, like nobody's really focused. Nobody has a common goal. It's always about, you got to be selfless. I feel like you got to find somebody who want to do what you want to do in life, truly. Because I've seen and heard where people that say, oh, they want what you want, but when it come down to putting the work in, that's not what they really want. So I feel like first and foremost, you gotta learn how to feel again before you even get with somebody. Because I know for me, the way I was living, I had to cut off my feelings. I had to, and you kind of have to do that when you're in it to protect yourself. You have to. Like you can't worry about. So now that becomes normal for you. But that's not a normal human thing to not feel.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Even if you out there, even if you out there in the street, doing things to people, you did it because they made you feel some type of way. And a lot of times guys don't want to acknowledge that. Like, that's why I carry myself the way I carry myself, because I know I got feelings, and if you hurt them, I'm going to hurt you. You see what I'm
But
saying? A lot of people
even
don't
in
want
Go ahead.
to admit that, but that's what it is.
But even in terms of selecting a partner, because I hear guys say all the time, like, man, I can't find nobody. Or they even ask you, like, man, where you find your wife for? You find, but it's like, where are you looking? What are you changing about you? Because I think we attribute have not being able to find somebody to the person that we are looking for, but not to the work that we have to do on ourselves. And I think what I heard somebody say on one of the other episodes was that before you even came home, you did a lot of work. See, people don't realize that you being away as long as you have also separated you and put you in a place where you could have actually put the work in to be better, or you could have not put in any work and came home and been the same person. You actually put in work and time when you was locked up to become a better version of you. And so there's no separation or isolation time for people. Sometimes we working all the time. We got kids. We dealing with baby mothers and baby fathers. We balancing money, balancing who like us, who don't. But like, what time are you taking out to become a better you? Because one thing I understood about attracting the man that I wanted to be with is that you know that to attract certain people, you got to be a certain way, right? So if you go to the strip club and you don't want to get naked, you likely not going to get a lot of ones, right?
Right.
Being there fully dressed, talking about So I think that in order to, well, you know, I gotta speak for the people. I gotta be able to, for everybody to understand. But I think too that still is, you know, I've done this thing to become this person, to be better at something, to become something. So I think people sometimes want to attract something that they are not. And it comes with being self-work. Like, I learned to cook. I didn't wake up, man, I be throwing down in the kitchen, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but I remember a time where I made some spaghetti. It was nasty. I remember that 10, 15 years ago. Or I remember frying some chicken and it won't frying right. You know what I'm saying? I ain't know you needed old grease and new grease. I ain't understand how to make it more crunchy. And, you know, and then I started becoming a better cook because it was something I invested in. I invested in becoming better. So to be the person that I am for you, I invest in each day showing up, becoming better. If that means I got to go to counseling, if that means we got to continue to pray, if that means I got to sit down and say, hey, babe, is there anything I can do to become a better person for us, and vice versa? So I think self-work is so important. And I think that people, not just guys, but coming home, being out already, if you want to find your person, I think you have to sit back and do some work on you to be able to attract the person that you truly want and need in your life.
I think that's so true, because I feel like a lot of times guys come home and be with a woman out of convenience. And what I mean by that is they might not necessarily like them like that, but the girl got somewhere to live. The girl might got a car. The girl got a little bit of stability so they could go there, get themselves together. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. But then they end up not being happy. And now they got conflict because, you know what I'm saying, they never wanted to be with that person. So but you know, we be so, like, guys, we be vulnerable in there, and niggas be lonely, man.
I understand that.
You know what I'm saying? But you got to learn how to be by yourself. I think that was one of the best things that happened to me. It was a stretch for some years I was by myself, but it forced me to work on myself. It forced me to start focusing on the things that I wanted to do and who I wanted to be. So it pushed me in a direction of growth, because I was, like I always say this, I was blessed to be around the right group of guys. Yeah, that was older, that had wives, that had things going on before in their life, that can give me different types of advice. So if you didn't have that, you know what I'm saying, or if you didn't want that or try to seek it out, I was around a lot of guys that didn't grow at all. And I used to be looking like, God, like how the fuck, like damn. Like I'm so happy I ain't like that, because it's like, what you gonna do when you get out? You getting out,
right?
What you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? So,
but let's put a little humor in it, because you started off being single. You did not end up that way. But let's talk a little bit about that, because when I was connecting with you, when I wrote you and stuff, you weren't like in a relationship.
right.
And when I was sending you pictures and we talked, or once JPay came around and stuff like that. But
damn, that's crazy. Yeah, we was writing before JPay. Damn.
Yeah, it was writing before JPay. Then you were like, hey, you gotta, I think I remember putting some tokens or something. You had to, like, the money was tokens on JPay or something, right?
Something
you
like
asking
that.
Pictures and everything, and we talked, and then I think we weren't going anywhere, in my opinion, like in terms of, like, we was friends. So one day I think I told you that I was seeing somebody.
Mm-hmm. Now don't try to do it like that. Like one day you told me you were sick. Don't try to do it like that. Don't do it like that. Nah, what happened was your name changed on JPay, hyphenated.
I didn't just get married out the blue. Don't do that. Don't do that. So you trying to say one day I just woke up and you was like, her last name changed.
Name change. Hyphen.
Stop.
Nah, it ain't happened that sudden, but
it felt like it.
A little bit, but I told you, I feel like at the time I had like 8 years left, I think, or something like that. And I was just like, I felt like it would have been a disservice to you if I tried to get into a relationship with you at that time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I feel like you had been through enough in life.
You didn't want to stress me out. I appreciate it. Yeah.
But I don't think I would have stressed you out, because I wasn't one of them guys. Yo, I need some money. I need this. I need that. Come up here, do this, do that.
I'm telling you, you never asked me for nothing. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful for exactly who I was in your life then and now, because I did not have to go through the things. I went through those things, but I went through them with somebody else. So by the time you got yourself out together, planted your feet, played a little, because you played, and then now here we are. You can laugh, it's cool. They don't know I'm a comedian.
I've made some mistakes.
But in terms of, like, the things that you needed to do to reintegrate yourself back into society, I'm thankful even for that process for you, because it still gave you time and it gave us space, so that by the time we decided, okay, we're gonna move forward with this relationship before we got married, it was like you like, okay, I'm ready for this. And still with some bumps in the road, but for the most part, you was like, all right, I think I'm ready. Yeah, so, like a lot of the guys that I see, like I said, they come home and they don't stay with the women. And I think it's a negative light shed on the guys. And it's not the guys, it's both of us. Like, yo, I'm telling you now, when a man comes home from prison, a woman thinks that they are going to get every bit of the man's attention that they got when he was incarcerated. You can't.
But that's virtually impossible.
But it's what we're used to, and the longer you do it, the worse off you are, because you feel like, I've been there for 5, 6, 7 years, and now you come home and you want to go outside. I want to be in the house. You've been confined. You've been, you know what I'm saying? And what we want is quality time, and we want you to. We want you to have hung up your jersey, and you might not be ready for that. You know what I'm saying? And I think that, again, you got to do the research to understand where a person's mind state is that has been locked up for so long. Muta, you've been gone for almost 20 years. Like, I'm 38 years old. Like, we got to understand, like, a lot of guys who've been locked up, y'all miss out on so much. And it's nobody's fault in terms of that, but both people have to really be like, you know what? Because it's stuff you still don't know. It's stuff you're learning, right? It's stuff that you haven't been exposed to because you weren't here. And so what that does is it puts a woman in a state of sacrifice. And then when things don't go right, then we are upset and we become bitter. And it just reminds me of, like, a situation where you become you typically become bitter because you like, look, I sacrificed this. But what we don't do is we don't take accountability for the choice that we made to sacrifice. We still put it all up on you, which is, hey, you did this to me, but you chose to allow this, or you chose to also stop your life. Nobody said cut your life off because you got a man that's locked up. That is a choice. A lot of times y'all don't have to ask. As a woman, sometimes we just do it. Now, you do got some niggas who be like, wait for me, play the little game. But a lot of times women just choose to do it. I'm choosing to show up to visit. I'm choosing to spend money. I'm choosing to accept the calls. And because we have an expectation and we ain't had no conversation to be like, look now, if I do all of this, does that mean you're going to be this person when you come home? You may say, yeah, but you really don't know because you haven't experienced that yet. Like it hasn't happened.
Right. Well, I want to speak for the other niggas too, though. Because, man, a lot of times, for real, because a lot of times, you be having women that do that. They do visits and all that, but they out here, doing whatever they doing, nigga, knocking them right down. But then they expect the nigga to be like the guy will find out, and they still expect the nigga to just take it. Well, it don't matter. I was out here. Nah, that wasn't part of the agreement. Now, I've seen guys that I've been incarcerated with, and they be like, man, she could do whatever she want as long as she comes see me. Cool, that's y'all agreement. But I feel like it'd be like a
double standard.
It'd be like a double standard because it's like just because you was going to visit and all that, but you was out here sucking and you know what I mean? I don't feel like that's cool either because that's the guy's honor. It's still the guy's honor. You know how guys operate. Like you know what?
The double standard. So what I hear you saying is the double standard that we live by while y'all are out is the double. It then turns into a double standard that y'all live by while you were in jail or prison because a man typically can cheat and sleep with 50 women and a woman can't ever cheat.
Wait, no. I'm not. Now that's not right. I ain't saying that.
Hold on, it's a double standard.
That's the standard, though.
That's the standard.
That's the standard. Yeah.
So if a woman went to prison, I don't know. From what it looked like, Papoose is the only person that didn't cheat or whatever.
He the only one that we know. But it's probably
a woman can't even go to work most times without a man dipping off. So imagine if she went to prison. Like
yeah.
So some of that come with the game of also understanding the consequences of going to prison too. That you do lose out on maybe the woman that you was with before you got locked up. Sometimes your kids growing up, like your growth and advancement, like if things are at a standstill, right? So that's one of the cons of going to prison. Like, sometimes sis outside and, some people feel like what you don't know won't hurt you. I'm not saying either way because I think every situation is different. I know some men who held it down for the woman and the household and everything. And as soon as he got locked up, the girl was out. I know some men who ain't do nothing ever and then expected the woman to be his knight in shining armor when he was locked up. I think that everybody has their own specific situation. And I think it all still starts with communication and conversation to kind of understand what you think this person will or won't do. But if you start dating somebody while you're in prison, that you never knew before, you can't say what's going to happen. You don't know because you don't know this person.
Right. That's true. I feel like even if you did know the person before, because people change.
I agree. We changed.
Yeah, for the better, but that's a different situation. You're supposed to do that. I feel like we grew instead of change.
That's a good point. I like that.
Growth and change is like, yeah.
But to grow, you do typically change as you grow, though. Like, I think, and like you said, change for the better. We didn't change for the worse. It's not like we're going backwards. It's not like we're changing or turning into different people. I think a part of that is that we, change for good. But it's been all good. Again, I appreciate the man that you are and your growth and development changing. We've been doing some good things together. And I think that we have both, again, applied what we know and what we've learned to each other's lives to make a difference for each other.
No, that's okay.
You got any questions for me before we wrap this up?
Yeah. Yeah, I got one. What kind of legacy do you hope that we leave behind? for like our children and like our people in general. Because I feel like I'm growing into some type of revolutionary anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Well, first and foremost, I think that we both have the same love for our kids, even though our children our boys are adults, and then we got little Callie. But I think that we want to be remembered as like K-Mom, Pop-Up, that everybody can come to our house when needed, and if anybody needs something, they can call us, even if it's not for money. It could just be for advice or for an ear. But that the work that we're putting in now, I used to feel like we was getting a late start, but now I realize we right on schedule. And I just feel like to leave things behind for our children and our grandchildren that they can benefit from. And so that they don't have to, I wouldn't say work is hard, but start from the bottom and leave. They can pick up where we left off, and that we can pass things on from generationally, from knowledge, from our hard work and dedication, loyalty, land, love, houses, stock, things that they can actually pass on and continue to live comfortably, wealth, just a number of things. Again, like we big on like love and lessons. And I hope that our kids feel like, even if, again, they call us and be like, hey, I want $20 million, that the expectation that we just give it to them, but that we teach them a lesson with everything that it is they need. And then, we got 2 grand boys that's 3 months apart. So just making sure that they have what they need. And that, we both had our kids at the same age, and now our kids are having kids about that same age. And so just making sure that we show them what love looks like, right? Because you could talk about it, but just showing up. And so when they see us, they always remember the love, and that like, dang, they stuck together through this, or that challenges, like you always gonna have challenges. You always gonna have to put in work. I don't know. That's just like this thing of just making sure that when we leave this earth, that they have exactly what they need to carry on and to be good fathers and good parents and mothers, and just people in general.
I like that. That's dope.
What else you got for me?
I think that's it. I think I want the same thing. Well, you know what I want. I want to say too, for the guys coming home, once you figure yourself out and you figure this thing out, you need to get somebody who your goals align with. I think a lot of times people don't have the same goals. It's never gonna work.
I agree.
And that ain't just with people like coming out of prison and being in a relationship. I think that's people in general. I don't think a conversation be that deep, or it may be surface level. But all right, we want these things, but how are we gonna obtain them though?
Right. I think it's trying to change people. What I've learned in my 38 years is that you can't change people. You can only change how you deal with people. And I think we spend so much time trying to make a person fit our life and our goals that we end up wasting a lot of time and becoming disappointed when people don't want to change for us. What I learned is when you start dating somebody, before you marry them, you got to ask yourself, is this person exactly what I want and who I'll be with if they never change, right? So how that person wakes up in the morning, the type of work that they do, the way they save or spend money, the way they raise their children, if they have kids, we typically try to, a man might date a woman, he might want 5 kids, she might want 1. We spend our time trying to change that. Well, I want 5, I want 1. Get with somebody who wants 5 children. It's okay. And sometimes a person, when people, another thing is when people find out what it is that you want, like or dislike, and they go against that, then you have to also say, hey, that's what you want, and that's not what I want, and it just doesn't align. So you got to ask yourself that instead of, oh, well, I want him to go back to school. If he don't want to go back to school, you can't change that about him.
Right.
So like when you're dating somebody and it's cool to grow together, it doesn't mean never change, but instead of trying to change them, what they already are, who they are, should already be in alignment with a lot of things that you want. And it won't feel like a struggle. It won't feel it's challenging. Oh man, she can't really do what I like in the bedroom. Okay, so you're gonna have to either train her and she got to be willing to learn, or you're gonna have to find somebody else that can do that. You know what I'm saying? Or he don't pay bills the way I like. Nah. So he either you gonna have this conversation and he gonna catch up, or you gonna get with somebody who already is equipped in them areas, because we typically get with people who are not in alignment with the same things. Again, it's so much. We can go into so many things, but you know, you got to get with somebody that's close enough to that and that's willing to grow with you. And it shouldn't feel like a fight if you have those conversations about things. You know, if you said, babe, I want breakfast cooked every morning at 6 a.m., we're going to have a conversation. But if you ask that of me, I would get up at 6 a.m. and get that done for you, because I know that's what you want.
Right.
Now, if we had a conversation and you just springing new things on me, I might be like, hold up. Now, when we got married, I was cooking breakfast at 9 a.m. Now you taking me. But guess what? If your job changed, right, or the business shifts and you got to be out at 6 versus 9, then what is it about me that I can't shift and make that sacrifice for you too? Because you're my husband. So why wouldn't I get up at 6 and make your breakfast? Breakfast tomorrow at 6.
Nah.
5. I knew you was going. You a play fiend. I knew you was going to say something silly.
Well, I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you too.
I appreciate you for being my co-host, my wife, my partner.
Appreciate you more.
And giving me some understanding and some grounding, and a sense of feeling whole. Like I haven't felt whole before, I don't think, until now.
My mom taught me how to love.
She did a good job. Shout out to your mama.
Shout out to my mama. She taught me how to pack lunches and cook and stuff too. It's like catering to man. And that's another thing a lot of women just don't know how. A lot of us haven't seen examples of, and that's not an excuse, because anything you want, you work hard at figuring out, right? And I think that we take time to figure out and find out and master things that we really want. So if it's a love and a relationship and a marriage and all these things that you want, you're going to study it, read a book, how to become a better wife, how to become a better spouse, how to become a better listener, go to counseling, get some help, talk to somebody about it. You will learn how to roll up. If you ain't know how to roll a blunt tight, you will learn how to go to, you go get a coach, or, what is it called? Like if you want to go to play basketball, you go to a basketball camp to become a better basketball player, right? So like if you got to go to a camp to become a better person, go to it. If that's what you want to be, you got to want it bad enough.
That's true.
And I want you, baby.
I want you too, girl.
You got anything else to wrap this up?
Nah, love yourself. Understand yourself. Respect yourself. That's it.
All right. Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Till next week.
This has been another presentation that we made it out. Shout out to Long Haul Transport and Logistics too. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for joining me.
All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no. You understand?
Yeah.
That piece of shit up there, I never like it.
I think it's about time a real nigga speak up. You lames can't keep up. I see your anxiety. I'm so high off this life, it got me battling sobriety. Niggas ain't really trying to be, but I'm 50 like the unit of the game. I am a student. I'm not easily influenced, and I really live my music. Have you ever seen the Uber drop off at a trauma unit? I could make a few arrangements. Wasn't married to the streets, now it was more like an engagement. So I played with her. But the one thing that I learned about that bitch is you can't stay with her. Man, I started hearing whispers, all the shit I used to say to her, discussing old drug deals and shootings. I put pain in. I'm the reason they gang started recruiting. These niggas trifling. First they say they love you, you drop your guard and they put that knife in. They leading with betrayal, but you won't get the chance. I hope you feeling me, no braille. Cause I could kill you in broad daylight and still wouldn't leave a trail. These niggas willing to do anything to stay up out of jail. But I was born with integrity, keep a whole lot of weaponry. Some people think I'm arrogant, but I'm walking in my destiny. Niggas sick and they hating, but I'ma kill these niggas with my success and premeditation. And it's crazy how I really got stronger in isolation. You know I had to persevere, nigga. You know your vision be the clearest right after you shed them tears, nigga. It ain't on me, it's inside of me. You don't know the violence that it took just to humble the beast inside of me. And I know niggas that don't play baseball, but they'll slide for me. And you can't call yourself my brother if you don't ride for me. Nah, gang.
I never trusted him. For all I know, he had me set up and had my friend Angel Fernandez killed. But that's history. I hear he's not. Do you want to go out with me? You say it. You don't? Then you make a move.